Everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Lens Productions. If you thought 1988 was an exciting year for the Grand Prix, wait till you find out what they had in store for 1989. Pontiac added a couple of engines to the Grand Prix lineup. A mid-year introduction, a stroked 3.1-liter version of the 2.8-liter V6 was implemented, but coupled only to an automatic transmission. The larger engine developed 140 horsepower at 4,800 RPM with 180 pound-feet of torque at 3,600 RPM. An automatic transmission was the only choice for the 1989 ASC McLaren Grand Prix Turbo, which actually was not just an engine option but a limited production car that could truly be called the first high-performance Grand Prix since the demise of the 455 SJs of yesteryear. It differed from the lesser model in several areas. The engine was developed by the renowned McLaren racing firm for use exclusively on this car. While the block and bottom end were the same as the normally aspirated versions, they were hardened selected castings with more rigid, quality-controlled standards than normal. The turbocharger was a water-cooled Garrett T25 model blowing into an air-to-air intercooler on the way to a multi-port fuel injection system. The modification was good for a very respectable 205 horsepower at 5,200 RPM with 225 pound-feet of torque at 2,400 RPM. These were actually quite impressive numbers for the late 1980s. The maximum torque was actually governed by the computer to avoid overloading the beefed-up automatic transmission, and ABS was standard, which was a first for the Pontiac Grand Prix. The body received a revised front and rear fascia and the larger skirts to accommodate the 245/50 ZR16 Goodyear Eagle Gatorback radials mounted on gold lace 16 by 8-inch wheels. The exterior revisions definitely got the GT Turbo a dramatically aggressive and distinctive look, which could be backed up in the performance department as well, as the 0 to 60 times were in the low 7-second range, and the quarter-mile times were in the mid-15 seconds at around 90 miles per hour. Again, quite impressive numbers for a factory car from the late 80s, early 90s. Production figures for the 1989 Grand Prix surged for the second year as a front driver. The total figure was 136,748 units, which included 72,563 base cars, 32,258 LEs, and 31,927 SEs. The 751 McLaren Turbo Coupes were included in the total sales figure. When the 1990 GPs rolled into the showrooms in the fall of 1989, a lot of reshuffling had occurred. A new four-door body style was added to the roster. The base Grand Prix Coupe had been dropped entirely. The new lineup was as follows: the LE Coupe and Sedan, an SE Coupe, and the STE Sedan, and a limited edition Turbo Grand Prix Coupe. The new engine was added to the lineup, which was a 2.3-liter Oldsmobile design Quad 4. It was available only with a 3-speed automatic transmission, and it developed 160 horsepower at a rather buzzy 6,200 RPMs, with 150 pound-feet of torque at 5,200 RPMs. It was too bad that such a free-revving engine as the Quad 4 would be made to anything more different than a close ratio 5-speed manual transmission, but that's ultimately the way it turned out. A GM 5-speed manual became available on the 3.1-liter V6, but unfortunately this very nice combination was rarely ordered. While the LE 4-door was quite similar in appointments to the 2-door counterpart, a new STE, which stood for Special Touring Edition, sedan, represented an expanded view of what the GP was all about. The luxury performer concept was expanded to include a four-door interpretation. Up front, the STE got its own unique front and rear fascias with an integrated fog lamp across the entire width of the nose, a la Mercury Sable. This was actually first seen in the Mercury Sable, so this is kind of Pontiac's rendition of the same thing. And I remember those back in the day. They actually looked pretty cool, especially at nighttime. Very different. The rear sported a full width tail lights, and inside the STE had an analog dash similar to the Turbo. The STE was the recipient of a specific articulated bucket seat package. In most other respects, the STE's interior appointments were much like the Turbos. The STE base engine was a 3.1-liter V6 hooked to a 5-speed manual transmission, with a 4-speed automatic being optional. Also optional was the 3.1-liter turbo engine, only available with the automatic. While the STE had the same suspension calibrations as a turbo, it used smaller 215 50R16 Goodyear Eagle GT4 radials on specific 16 by 6 inch wheels, which actually was quite a low profile tire by early 1990s standards. Production totals did drop slightly for 1990, with totals ending up at 105,902 LE models and 22,171 SEs, for a production run of 128,073 units. The total includes 2,749 GP turbo coupes and 1,000 STE sedans. And that was 1990. Please join me again soon as we continue down the road into the 1991 Model Grand Prix. Hope you're enjoying this series. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.